Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today Mañana. I'm Michael, happy to be joined by Nick on a very muggy morning, I'd say.
Very muggy.
Yes, I woke up this morning. Usually, sometimes I like to get up and swim laps, and I woke up and it was dark and it was really muggy. I was like, you know what? I swear, I've done that for like the past 7 days in a row. I said I'm due for an off day, so I took my off day
It was
today.
an Excedrin morning.
Yeah, for you, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I had extra long coffee, so. Plus, I know I have to do the show. We need to be ready for our guests because we got fantastic guests. We're going to be joined soon by Amanda Zylvest and Chelsea Kolić from the Charlottesville Opera. As always, we are happy to be presented by Emergent Financial Services, sponsored by Charlottesville Opera, Matthias Realty, and FABA, the premier Latino networking group here in Virginia. I know you're excited about it. You got to see the dress rehearsal.
I saw the dress rehearsal on
Pirates
Tuesday,
of Penzance.
and the review of the show for Today Mañana is already on the Today Mañana Facebook page. So go read it after you watch the show, of course. But
would you put spoilers?
No.
So then you can read it before the show.
Yeah, but you could also read it before the show.
Well,
the show's live
you
now.
would want people to read it before the show. This way they'd be
before
Nickolas.
our show today.
What do you mean?
As in, like, before today's show, right now, what we're doing right now. What we're
Oh,
live.
so you're saying
Yes,
wait
wait
it
until
after.
we're done with our interviews. And
Yeah, but maybe when we're talking, people will be like, "Oh, this is a great way to kill 10 minutes to they introduce the guest."
Yeah, let's not wait 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, who knows?
Either way,
maybe your review's not that long. I don't know. I agree.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, no, Nickolas usually has very good in-depth reviews. I mean,
that's the problem. Every
thing.
once in a while, they're very long, but I tried to cut this one nice and short so that it was more condensed.
Yeah. I mean, listen, probably better than when Alex writes reviews because
no, mine was longer actually. Alex did a wonderful job. So check out Alex's review for Carmen because he wrote the review for Carmen. Yes. It was also really good.
I was lucky enough to see Carmen. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty amazing.
They do such.
Chelsea, were you?
I was blonde. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I thought so. When we introduce our guests, we'll do that. But yeah, no, Carmen was fantastic, and we all really enjoyed it. The performances were phenomenal. I really liked the set, and the costume designs were really interesting. I like the stylistic choice of having Carmen in red, kind of like standing out, and then all the other women were like in like an orange or something like that. So it's kind of. That was...
Yeah, choices like that really make a difference. I mean, we were talking about that before the show, just briefly. Like, a lot of this stage... And Pirates was the same thing when I went to go see it on Tuesday. One of the things I noted in my review was that the set design and especially the choreography, which I'll probably will touch on like when we go into our interviews, but like it was really well done to both enhance the comedy, but also not detract from what was going on the stage. So that like it was all very subtle, so that wherever you were looking, something funny was happening, but just to keep the humor level up without necessarily distracting from what was actually going on. So it was like really well done. I was very impressed.
And it's always impressive too, because I remember watching Carmen, and it was like we said, because sometimes obviously like Carmen may be singing, or one of the other characters like Don Julio might have been singing, right? But all the other actors and actresses on stage, right? They're also kind of performing within this. So you can kind of sometimes, you're supposed to be focused on Carmen. Every once in a while, your eyes may switch to someone else. You're like, oh, they're also kind of like laughing, or they're kind of like doing a gossip thing, or they're still like in the performance. So it's not like everyone's just watching Carmen. Everyone's still on stage and contributing. So that's always
exactly, and that's
very engaging.
Yeah, and they do a really good job with. I think that was Cara Consilvio. I think was the director of that show. Is that correct? Yeah, and she did a wonderful job last year with Elixir of Love. So I was glad to see her return because she was phenomenal last year. She did a great job this year, and Kyle did a great job with Pirates. I thought it was a lot of fun. So anyway. That was
So that was our quick little spiel about Carmen. So now
if you missed it, too late.
Yeah, but you have a chance to see Pirates.
That's the key. That's why we're here.
And exactly. and now we're very happy to be joined by two very special guests. We're going to have Amanda Zylvest and Chelsea Kolić from the Charlottesville Opera. Thank you both for did I say Kolić? Did I say that right?
Kolić, yeah.
Kolić. So what happens is I'm introducing names, for the third time. So now my mind's already
starting to register.
He let down his guard.
The coffee's already wearing off. Is what's happening.
Oh well, you got to get another coffee.
I know, yeah, but probably after the show though. But we're very happy to be joined by Amanda and Chelsea. Thank you so much both for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
No, it's our pleasure. So before we kind of get into Pirates, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourselves and kind of how you started getting into opera?
Go ahead. Well, I am very lucky because I was raised in a very musical family. My grandfather, in addition to being a full-time practicer of medicine, played in the Virginia Symphony when I was a young girl, and as a result, I got to go see a lot of those performances. So I have a very sweet moment, actually. When I was about 3 years old, I was at the symphony, and my grandfather took me to the symphony and took me backstage, and the timpanist for the Virginia Symphony at the time was a man named John Lindberg, and John Lindberg stuck me on his timpani stool, and he sang to me, "You must have been a beautiful baby," and proposed marriage to me. And at 3 years old, I said, "Yes, I will absolutely marry you." And this is pertinent to Pirates and to our being in Charlottesville now, because I told one of our costume people, our wig people, Jim, this story after he sang me the same song in my first day in the makeup chair for Pirates. And I said, "Jim, you know, this happened to me when I was 3 years old, and John Lindberg sang me this song." And Jim goes, "Oh, I know John. He's a dear friend." So my journey to opera has been very much about these little connections of this world being so small, and coming from a symphonic space, having a great love of music and an early foundation, and then just loving to sing. So that was me. Chelsea?
Okay, so my experience was a little bit different than yours. So
You
I'm
weren't
originally
proposed to at 3 years old?
No,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately not.
I did not marry John Lindberg, just for clarity.
For the record. So I'm originally from just outside of Toronto, Canada. And now I sort of move around wherever the gigs are. But anyways, Canada is home. And I come from a family that was really into athletics and academics, and thought I was going to go into that sort of health science realm as a kid. But my mother actually studied piano and had sort of picked up on my theatricality, for lack of a better word. I love to sing along with Disney movies, and I would always get the old VHS, the song would end, and I would make them stop it and rewind it, and then, do that 4 or 5 times in a row, and the dress-up box, and standing up, and, performing. So my mom sort of thought that I had the aptitude, but also just more importantly, the desire to share that with people, and she thought it would be a good idea to have me audition for a children's choir. So I sang with the Hamilton Children's Choir from the age of 8, and we went on tour a lot throughout North America and over to Europe. We would do international choral competitions, and that sort of discipline of how do you take care of your voice, what foods do you eat or not eat before you perform, how to take care of your body in a way similar to how I trained as an athlete. There were a lot of parallels there. And when it came time to apply for schools, when I was 17, I did the health sci thing. I applied to all the programs I expected to, apply for. And I applied for a couple voice programs just on a whim, and won a spot for McGill University in Montreal. And just looking at the offers, I realized that somewhere along the way in my youth, it had gone from being an extracurricular activity to something that I just had to do. And my family was really supportive. They were surprised, but supportive. And I enrolled in voice, and that took me kind of down the opera path. And I've lived in Europe throughout my 20s, met my partner over there, and moved back to Canada for the last couple of years. But this is my first contract in the U.S., and I've just had a lovely time, great experience sharing my love for performing with like-minded individuals.
Now, how was your introduction to opera? Because, you talk about how you were introduced kind of like to singing through like Disney movies, which probably like a lot of us are kind of introduced to like that musical aspect. But how did you kind of get introduced in some ways to opera? Because that's like a stark difference. And opera, in today's age, it feels like, Charlottesville Opera's trying to bring it back, but it kind of musicals kind of like took over a little bit of the sphere of like entertainment, and now opera's kind of trying to make its way back.
Well, I think that with a lot of us, the 16 EAs that are here with the company this summer, we all come from different backgrounds, some of them very choral, music heavy. Some of us have degrees or multiple degrees in classical music. A lot of us got our starts in musical theater. So when I was in the children's chorus, it was sort of that classical style of singing. That was what was taught to me. But in high school, I did a lot of musical theater. and just really enjoy like the dancing and the other aspects, the spoken dialogue, which you'll see a lot in Pirates. But I think the classical thing it was part of my degree and it sort of fit. I did my first opera as a member of the youth chorus. It was La Boheme when I was 15. And that was a local company just looking for youth singers for the production. And I was just fascinated by the costumes and the lights and the set and the other actors. And Musetta had a dog on stage. So, of course, all the kids freaked out when the Pomeranian came out. So it was very, very fun. But I think, especially with modern day performers, we have dabbled in musical theater or choral music or jazz or pop. And I don't think you can be a one-trick pony in this industry, certainly not in today's world.
I also don't necessarily think that it's easy to create a huge distinction between this is a musical and this is an opera. Right. And I'm not sure that there is such a strong distinction. Yes, there are different stylistic requirements and different elements of storytelling, but at the end of the day, we're all creating this suspension of disbelief that we're going to tell a story in song. Right? And there's something very core and human about that. And you mentioned what Charlottesville Opera is doing in terms of introducing kids to this art form. I've been privileged not only to be an emerging artist with this program, but also to work with the education outreaches. And I think that something that Charlottesville does better than any other company I have been with is that they bring real opera, the real spectacle of full-blown performance. They make that accessible to the children of this community. And that it is extraordinary to be in the Paramount for a Sing Me a Story. The energy of the Paramount filled with elementary school aged children and then walking out of the stage door behind the theater as those same kids are loading up their buses, I have never felt more like a rock star in my life than when I had that experience. But there's something so incredibly compelling about the opportunity to see the real deal of opera, not just a pop-up performance in your school gymnasium, but everything, the technical theater, the incredible singing, the orchestra, and understanding what goes into making these things.
Were you there for the Sing Me a Story for Carmen and Pirates?
So Sing Me a Story and Kids Fest are two different things. Yes, Kids Fest is wonderful, and it's another similar project, same vein. Bridget does an amazing job with the outreach programming at Charlottesville. But the Sing Me a Story is an outside of the summer season thing that's geared towards school-age children in Charlottesville. I don't know exactly the statistics, but I think somewhere around 900 to 1,000 kids were reached in Charlottesville this year by the opera and Sing Me a Story.
Wow.
I did not do that this season, but I was in the previous season, the first season at the Paramount.
Yeah, very cool. And you mentioned the Ader Emerging Artist Program. So why don't you tell a little bit about viewers kind of what that is and how you kind of got involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, emerging artists need support and opportunity to grow their craft and to get to apprentice and to learn from people that are more established, right? And all opera companies, pretty much without fail, have some sort of program in this vein. Charlottesville is so privileged to be supported by Tessa Ader, by a generous gift that supports this program. And every season, it means that Charlottesville Opera is able to bring 16 young and emerging, many of us really already emerged, having performed major roles with pretty major companies, but speaks to the level and caliber of the singers in this program, to the company for the duration of the season, where we are participating in the main stage productions, but also in a lot of other programming, song recitals, master classes, also supported by other generous gifts from the community. So it's a very community-grown experience here in Charlottesville. These opportunities for artists exist because of the investment of Charlottesville, people that live in Charlottesville, in having a rich and robust program that attracts singers from all over the United States and Canada, right?
And South Korea as well.
And South Korea. Yep. I can't forget Jin Park.
No, who can forget Jin Park?
So I don't know if you have anything to add about that, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think I know you've done the Ader program multiple summers. For me, this was my first time, and as a Canadian coming in and not really spending any time in this part of the U.S. before, I've just been blown away by how a smallish community, you know, not a big metropolitan area, is just so invested in their arts here. The many people involved with the ballet, the symphony, Charlottesville Opera, and the local theater companies, and it's just been there's a personal connection that the company has with the community. And I was lucky enough to sing at Monticello last week for the Naturalization Independence Day celebration. And
Congratulations!
Wow.
thank you. Yeah, it was super fun. But just
Did you get to dress up in like colonial garb? Or?
No. I wore red and white with a blue headband. You know, very patriotic.
Okay. Fair enough.
But just to be there and get to connect with members of the community on stage through my voice, but then being a part of the celebration afterwards, chatting with people, hearing about their experiences with the opera and their excitement for, oh, I've already got my tickets to Pirates and I'm actually coming twice. I'm bringing one set of grandkids one day and another set of grandkids the next. And I'm like, I love that. Like that is, I think as artists, we all want to connect. And the willingness and openness of the Charlottesville community to embrace us while we're here for the summer is just, it's incredible. I don't know if I've ever experienced something quite like this here.
Yeah, no, Charlottesville's great about its
excitement for big events like this, you know, and it's a very cultured community, despite not being one of the. It's not even, I don't think, nearly the largest city in Virginia, not by a long shot.
No.
It's not even as big as Harrisonburg, and yet we have a really robust classical music community, which is so amazing.
A patron, an opera patron at a dinner last night described Charlottesville as a city that punches above its weight. I really liked that.
That's a nice description.
Yeah, shout out to Gail Kitsch for that
There you
one.
go.
I would say that's a really good description, because honestly, it's true. It's one of the things that even when we were deciding to move here that we liked was like they've got a symphony, they've got an opera, they've got sport, they have all these amenities, like one of the highest restaurants per capita in the United States. It's amazing what Charlottesville is able to provide for such a
Distilleries, craft breweries. I mean, they got it all.
Wineries, everything,
Parks. Yeah, mountain views. I mean,
the mountains.
the only thing they're missing is a little beach, but you know, what are you gonna do?
I
You
know.
can't force
You
it.
have the river. You have the river.
The
You can't-
river is not the
It's
same
not the
as
same
beach.
for Sicilians.
There's no sand. I don't
We
like
love a
sand.
beach.
Wow. Trust the river. You go to a nice beach, it's not the same as a river.
A rocky beach. I can go with a rocky beach.
Rocky beach, then you could crash into the wave.
I would
and it's
rather
good
have
night.
the sand. Oh.
So good.
But there's a lot of sand in Pirates. I mean, you got Pirates.
There's not actual sand.
The only thing we're missing in the show is actual sand.
I'm so
You mean the boats don't sail and there's no water? Stuff?
I'm so glad you found it so convincing. You haven't seen it yet. I'm so glad you found it so
Thank you for pointing
convincing
It was very good.
that you thought there was sand on the set.
I didn't say that. I thought there was sand. He thought there was sand.
Well,
I was
I
gonna
don't know
say.
what he's talking about.
I
He
was
hasn't seen
smart.
it
Well,
yet.
my imagination. That's what I was trying to say.
okay.
I was
And
trying to
what-
lead into you
Here we go.
describing
Yeah, we're-
why people should go.
that's-
What makes Pirates
That's
special? I thought you would say the
accidentally a good
sand.
segue. So
It's not the sand
It's
that
not the
makes
sand.
it
It's not
special,
the
I have to
sand.
say.
I would say that I've been on a lot of sets, but the tech crew here has really outdone themselves. This is one of the most spectacular sets that I have been on to date. It really, it's the colors, the detail to it, and even just throughout Tech Week, we come in each day to do different runs, and they've added more layers. They've added more frills to our costumes. There's a giant, mural on the back that wasn't there 12 hours before, and we're like, shout out to our one set painter who probably pulled an all-nighter to get it done, and it's just been It's so much easier as an actor to put yourself in the shoes of the character when all of these visuals, the lights, the set, the sounds, all of that is just enhancing your experience. And it's, we'll get into the singing and the dancing and the actual show itself, but even before that has started, you're transported into another world. And I feel like audiences old and young are really going to love it.
Do not miss. This is the best set I've seen.
Yeah, it's
At
really
the
fabulous.
Opera, do not miss this show. If you love a beautiful set and beautiful technical theater, it's really, really beautiful.
as soon as you start, I was sitting down and the lights have that kind of watery look to them.
Yeah.
Just before the show opens, you're like, oh, it feels very, I would say beachy. nautical.
Tropical.
I'm trying to
That's
come
a good
up
word,
with
a not
nicer
sandy
word
word.
rather than beachy.
Yeah.
But like
That would've
you
been
get
my
that very
description, sandy,
water.
but,
There's an effect of water right before you started. Like the color is already setting the tone that you're in the Paramount, but you're not in the Paramount anymore. You're going to be sailing soon. You're going to be, and everybody. I told Caroline this when I saw her. Everybody loves pirates.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everybody
Yeah,
loves
what was it
pirates.
like dressing up as pirates? Because that got to be kind of fun. I mean, you're kind of reliving a little bit of childhood. This got to be one of the top 10
Kids
Halloween
things to be,
costumes,
yeah.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Well, I suppose I sort of get to
I was
dress as
like-
a
Yeah,
pirate
you
in the
definitely
second
have
act.
Second act,
that
you were definitely
nautical.
pirate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my assumption when you came out the second time dressed as a pirate.
Oh, Ruth's track is so funny. You know, she's trying so hard to. So I have the privilege of performing the role of the pirate maid of all work, Ruth, and the Pirates of Penzance. And her track in the story is very much like she starts off. I am a prim and proper Victorian who's been on this ship full of dirty old pirates for a while, and I'm trying to make that work. But also, I'm in love with my the child that I nursed from childhood, who's now a grown-up, and I won't give away too much of the plot, but that's important. But in the second act, I show back up, and I've shed the Victorian space, and all of a sudden, I've been pirate-tarted up, I suppose. Yeah.
You've been pirated?
Pirated, yeah,
Pirated.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, to Chelsea's point about details, I mean, every time in the theater there was some change to my costume, some tweak, making it better through last night when we had our final orchestra orchestra rehearsal before we open tomorrow.
Did the tattoo show up yesterday?
Yeah, the tattoo showed up
Yeah.
yesterday. That was new.
Not
I was
just
gonna
for
say,
you.
I did not see the tattoo.
A lot of the hair and makeup department, they got really creative with adding tattoos to a number of the pirates, and it's very funny. They went all out, and it just makes the show that much better. It really elevates it.
Detail.
Yeah, and even for me, I'm not playing one of the pirates for this. I'm playing one of General Stanley's 12 or 13 daughters. And without giving away too much, we all have the same style of costume. It is very larger than life. We have compared it to, dancing around in tents, which is always an experience. But
Classy tents.
Yeah, classy
Elegant
tents.
tents.
Elegant,
Yeah,
prim and
beautiful
proper.
tents, yeah.
Beautiful
But,
And you wouldn't sleep under it.
yeah, but all of our costumes are different in color. We have different accessories. We each have our own prop, which when we were given these props in one of the earlier rehearsals, it kind of inspired us to say, is my daughter more prim and proper than the other daughters? Or am I a younger, more adventurous daughter? Am I a tomboy amongst the daughters? And it really allowed us all to sort of create, even though we are an ensemble, we still have our moments where we get to shine as individuals, which was really cool. And so thank you, costume team, for
shout out to
bringing
Anthony.
that out. They did a fabulous
Shout
job.
out Anthony and Ava.
Yeah.
Yeah, those little moments, like it was stuff like that. Especially one of the things I think that jumped out to me the first time I saw it was the only time I saw it so far. But
You'll see it again.
I will see it again.
Yay!
I'll be there on Friday with my wife because it sounds like you have to go.
You have to go.
I have to go. So I told my parents, "You're not watching it because you got to watch the 3-month-old."
Social event of the season.
Yeah.
Come on.
But anyway, so one of the things I loved is the moment when the Pirate King comes out with the piece of cake.
Oh.
The piece of the piece of cake. And it was just like, I was like, that was just such a clever piece of directing because it's just like he comes out, he makes his way around the stage so that everyone can see him, and then he just quietly disappears. It was like, it's a touch of comedy during a musical moment that was really great. It's like things like that just make the show feel more real and more believable, but also just humorous.
Yeah. And I think our director, Kyle, has had so much experience with this type of stuff. He's done Pirates a few times, right? His ability to bring the vision to life and to think about it as not just what character is singing or speaking in a given moment, but what is everyone else on stage doing? And how do we just create these little journeys for each character, the arcs, and even I've told people if you can see it more than once, you most definitely should, and you should make sure you're sitting in different areas. Maybe you could have an completely different experience sitting on the left side of the house for performance A, and the right side of house for performance B, and be like, oh yeah, I didn't even realize that those 5 characters were doing that because I was watching the other side of the stage in the previous show. And it really, for the cast, it's been wonderful to just, it never feels stale. We as actors are constantly adding things to it. Kyle is constantly adding things to it, and it just makes it refreshingly funny, even for people who have been rehearsing it now for 3 weeks. And so if we can feel like that as the people who have seen it a lot, then audiences are just going to lose their minds over it. It is so funny. I can't say that enough. It really is a hilarious show.
I mean, one of the things that I thought was also funny, that was also a great touch, and this is going to lead into my question, was that there were times when the music would do something like a quick jab, and then especially your ensemble would just like move and do something.
The head tilts.
Yeah, like and it was perfectly timed, it was wonderful, and it was humorous. Now, but my question is, does timing it with the music make it easier to remember and do all the stage? Okay,
absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
because visually it looks harder. It's like, oh man, they have to move right when the musical cue is. But
no, I think it really allows us to, that sort of coordination, the tapping of your head while rubbing your stomach thing. That is what we do as actors, especially in a show like this. And I think that assigning these movements to certain musical cues, it allowed us to learn the music a lot quicker, but it really it turns it into a full body experience. It really is not just about like singing, like the here to here sort of muscles. It really is head to toe and everything in between.
It's definitely the most choreography I have done in a show. And I do not do as much as Chelsea does. I mean, God, the women's chorus, the Major General's daughters are just, oh my goodness, there's so much dancing.
It's fun.
It's extraordinary.
You moved a lot on stage, though.
I'm so glad you think so.
Oh, you have a stunt in Act 2 that's hilarious.
I don't have any. I do draw my knife. I do draw my knife. It's a fun little moment. Boy, I am so grateful to have a director like Kyle who has such an incredible background in choreography. He was a dancer. That was how he found his way to directing. And the precision of thought and construction that choreography background brings to that space is amazing. I mean, I remember early on in the rehearsal process, he said something about how he loves to watch I'm sorry, Kyle, if you're watching. I hope this is something you want people to know. That he likes to watch the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders show, right? Mm-hmm. And there is something that's so similar, this concept of core group movement, of it being snappy and precise and expressive and showy.
Yeah.
It's it's the core of showmanship. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm.
So now the expectation is that you're going to be dancing like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders on the
It's the Pirates of Penzance, not the Wild Wild West guys. Okay. So the pirate version of
it's the pirate version. I was going to say not quite, but like it. Now that you say that, I can see the influence, especially again with the ensemble group when they're moving all in step.
Yeah.
And Major Stanley doing his bit, he was fun.
Oh my gosh.
He did a very good job.
Kurt has done this role like 14, 15 times.
Really?
Or something.
And then another 13 or 14 times as the Pirate King.
Yeah, no, he knows the show so well. And
he's directed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's amazing to get to watch these caliber of actors in these principal roles, who know these roles so well, who are constantly reinventing it between runs of the show, and it's so funny.
That's been something that's been a trend this season.
Yeah.
Because this season we've had professional principals who have lived in the roles that they're playing. Audrey Babcock is Carmen, of course, who's done like over 200 performances.
250 shows or something.
And then Kurt Olds, who has done what we've just spoken about here in Pirates. It's fascinating to be in a rehearsal room with people who have done these roles so many times, because at our stage of our career, we're generally doing a role. I mean, maybe if we're lucky, it's the second, third time.
Well, I think for both of us, being EAs who were given these roles in me and Carmen and you in Pirates, this was my first Micaela, and it's a role that I've wanted to do for a long time. My voice teacher, it was one of her quote-unquote signature roles, and getting to play opposite of Audrey, who has done as many shows of Carmen, I think it gives both of us a lot of hope that we, throughout our careers, will get to really perfect these roles and live them to the point where when we hit that stage in our careers, we have done them 200 plus times or 14 different productions, and yet we never get tired of them because we connect with these characters. It's really a privilege getting to do what we do as actors and get to, try on different costumes and wigs and like putting on a new skin of a character that can be so different from who we are in the real world, but also figuring out how to draw the similarities to and relate to our characters is super important.
I really agree with that in the global sense of how being around people who are so seasoned helps emerging artists.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In a long-term way, and that's critical for what Charlottesville Opera and the Ader Emerging Artist Program is providing for people at our career stage. In a more immediate sense, just in the rehearsal room, it is so exciting to watch a seasoned performer get an instruction from a director that says, well, how would you do this? Or what do you have in your toolkit of how to solve this problem? And to see Richard, who is playing the Toreador, say, I've got this way of doing this lift fall. I've got this way of doing this lift fall. And here's how we end up solving that technical problem because it's coming out of his toolkit. Right. Or Kurt Oles his Modern Major General is so precise and he's got all these little bits and he's got 6 or 7 in his back pocket and Kyle just gets to choose one of these fantastic things. I want to be that performer that's done the role so many times that I've got 15 things in my box of tricks and a director gets to say, I like that one.
And all of them feel natural and authentic. It's not like, I've got 1 or 2 that really suit, but then the others, I just sort of, make it work. It's like, no, they are so committed to all these different ways. And it's just a testament to the work they've done and the success they've had in their careers thus far. It's pretty fabulous.
I was going to say, those guys, a lot of the leads, every moment that they were on the stage, they were doing something that made you really convinced.
Oh, yeah.
Of the like you again, that's part of what you wanted, right? For you to lose the sense that they're actors and like be able to actually believe that that's it. Like for a second, I forgot that Kurt was not as old as Major Stanley looks. I was like,
the wonders of hair and makeup and a wig. A good wig.
I totally lost sense. I was like, this guy must be in your head. I'm like, is he British or something? I can't remember. Couldn't figure it out. I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter because he did such a great job. No,
were you surprised to meet me today that I don't look like 50?
No, you look much younger. Yeah, I was gonna say you did look much younger than the way you were playing. So. But I will say though, like you still, again, that part where you played, you did phenomenally as Ruth. It's a beautiful job that you did, and it's hilarious and quirky. And meeting you now, you do have a different personality than I think from Ruth. So, but again, that just is a testament to just not only the fact that you have to be great singers, which you clearly are, but also the fact that like your acting has to be convincing because you're playing a role as well, and like all these little things go into that.
Yeah. We have the best job. We get to show up and play pretend.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that when we get to do this job, it really is the best thing in the world. And we are so incredibly grateful to Charlottesville Opera and the team for having us here and allowing us to, play pretend for other people.
Do you still get butterfly stuff?
Oh, yeah. But I think it's about... Someone once told me that if you don't feel any nerves before you do something like this, it means you're just not invested. Yeah. And it's all about channeling those butterflies, making them fly in formation, as it were.
That's well said.
Yeah, and that has just been something that I've kept with me since my days of youth choir. And just using my nerves to channel it. And it really helped with playing Michaela because she is a scared 17-year-old who's in love and she just wants to bring this guy back and, redeem him, bring him back to the path of the good. And, that doesn't happen, obviously, but she puts herself in this incredibly scary, vulnerable position and she finds courage. And I think in our world, it's so important to have faith in something, whether it's, a deity or a person, or faith in yourself. And I think Michaela really finds that on the journey. And, as actors on this crazy path, it is something that we have to think about is, why, always taking it back to the why do we do this? And it's because some little kid wanted to sing and be on stage. Yeah. And we all still have that in us.
It's funny, Michaela is so good and Ruth is so not. Can I teach you guys something?
Absolutely.
Would you guys enjoy that?
Yeah.
Okay, so my way of causing my butterflies to fly in formation, as it were, my thing I do before I go on stage every time. You guys want to do it with me? Okay. Okay, so cover your left eye. It has to be your left eye. Totally cover your left eye. Without lifting your head, look up at the ceiling, and then with your right eye, and then just take a couple of breaths and sink into the feeling of whatever is there as you're looking up. And then once you get settled, you just sit down and you go on stage. And this is what I do. Every time.
I love that.
And it's this little thing I can do no matter what I'm wearing, no matter what my costuming is. Sometimes if I'm in a situation where I'm on stage, I can even just shut my left eye and look up, and it's pretty subtle.
Interesting.
It comes from some neurology things. It's something my voice teacher gave me, and that's my ritual. I think a lot of people have rituals of that kind. I think about basketball players with their specific number of bounces before their free throws, right?
Tennis players used to put the water bottle a certain way. If it got messed up during the match, they go and have
Rafael
to fix
Nadal.
it. Then
Nadal,
that was
right.
Every serve,
exactly.
You have your process, right? And it's part of your routine, your pre-shot routine of how you settle yourself and get your butterflies to fly in formation.
Yep.
Right?
So and even with this show, like before we open the house to the audience, we have a dance call, and it's just about the particularly difficult parts of the show. Prop things, or anytime there's any form of stage combat, they always have to run it beforehand to make sure everyone is on the same page, that we have the beats. There's a few trust falls in this show, so the team has to run that, and it's just so important to just get your body the same way that elite athletes do with their warm-up. It is something that we do, and some of it is our own individual moments of rituals in between, and sometimes it's a group effort.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite part of being an opera singer is just the collaboration between everyone, and every production is going to be a different experience, a different family dynamic, because you add or you take away one person and the whole dynamic shifts. Yeah. So every show I've done has been just radically different in that way, and it's great. I have performance family all over the world now, and I'm still very early in my careure, which is really
that's wonderful.
Really cool that we have that community.
Can I ask you a question?
I guess. Usually we're asking questions, but all right.
What do you think? You haven't seen it yet. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's
what do I think is going to happen?
What's going to happen in the Pirates of Penzance? What are you expecting?
I'm not really sure. I'll be honest, I've never heard any songs from it, nor have I ever seen it.
You do actually know one of the songs, because when I was there, I was like, I know.
Yeah, at the festival. Yeah, at the festival.
No, not that one. We've heard another one.
I am the Pirate King.
Not that one. We've heard another one.
You're spoiling all the songs now.
Okay, but like at the beginning of the show, they have this thing called an overture. Do we know what an overture is?
Yeah, no, we know what an overture is.
Sorry,
we're slightly high. We know some things, not as much as everyone else, but we know.
No, you know many things. I would never impugn your intelligence intentionally. Sometimes
only unintentionally.
Only unintentionally.
I was going to say, I'll do that myself.
There's an overture at the beginning of the show, and in the overture, they play a snippet of every song. It's like a Gilbert and Sullivan mixtape at the beginning of the show, a guide to what you're going to hear for the whole night. So you kind of know the whole plot of the show at the very beginning.
Without realizing.
Musically, I know the whole
Musically.
plot, not the plot.
I feel like there's a really cool party game in there somewhere. Like listen to the overture of an opera and like make up what the story is going to be.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah,
maybe that's how you introduce Pasquale to
We'll go back to Wagner. Let's try Wagner again. We'll be like,
listen to the overture.
That's what my dad likes the best anyway. One of his funny stories. I know this is an aside, but his funny story was that he used to try to when he would take my mother on dates, he took her to Tannhauser. And because he liked the overture, but they stayed for the rest of the performance, and she was like, it was not her favorite outing. Let's say it that way. But she said the overture was nice.
I feel like Wagner can do that. But this is not Wagner. We have the Pirates of Penzance. That's like about as far from Wagner.
Oh yeah, it is a
This
fun
will be fun, happy.
Yep.
Zany
Pirates,
overture.
It's much more, it leans much more towards the musical side in terms of the melodies, the dancing, the spoken dialogue. It's not something that I know sometimes audiences, especially those, think like, oh, Charlottesville opera, like it's going to be opera, and I can't understand opera. That's not my world. With this, it is a perfect stepping stone for youth that come out, for people who are getting into theater and musical theater of any genre for the first time. It's definitely a show for that, and you will be walking out and you've got these little earworms of, oh yeah, there's this song, and I'm, all of a sudden you're going do 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 do, and you're doing that as you're driving the next morning. You're like, how do I have this melody in my head? Oh yeah, the show, and there's just moment after moment of that in this production, and our. Shout out to our orchestra and Brian, who is a fabulous conductor. He conducted Carmen as well. And they're slaying it. It sounds fabulous. And also just adding that, all the colors of an orchestra as a performer, it's really fun to hear that. And it brings more to our character. It elevates everything.
It's so much easier to sing with orchestra than it is with piano, especially operas. I mean, the joy of getting to get into our Sitzprobe, where we sing with the orchestra for the first time. It's like all of a sudden your voice as a singer is just like on this cloud cushion of sound. And John Mayhood, who played for us in the rehearsal room, is a fabulous pianist. Like, amazing that he's here in Charlottesville. And he's wonderful, but there is this incredible thing about opera performed with orchestra, right? I mean, you know this if you're an overture lover or Wagner lover. I mean, like, can you imagine Wagner played on a piano?
I have tried, and I just put it aside. And
I auditioned with a couple of Wagner and Wagner Light Humperdinck things, and it's so difficult to get all of that onto a piano.
Yeah,
very difficult.
It's not the same. Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is that I don't think people realize, like, you may have seen a lot of these musicals as movies or as like even just recorded from, like, BBC or whatever. It's not that when you go live and you're at a live performance, it's completely different. The immersion is so much more palpable. You're just completely lost to everything.
It really just touches something inside, I think, the human soul and condition of, we all grew up with these stories, these fairy tales, and some of us grew up with our parents singing lullabies to us. Some of our first memories or human experiences had to do with music, and I think that in our society, especially now with technology, like, we are all about instant gratification, and our attention spans have sort of,
Hey, speak for yourself. I have a very long attention span.
Well, you need it for opera. I mean,
that's true. Maybe it's too long.
This experience of being in a theater and watching live performance and experiencing live performance, it's just so important. It really takes you back to your inner child and how you experience the world before everything became on a small screen.
I'd say this is a very family-friendly performance.
For sure.
I mean,
you cannot get more family-friendly than this.
I was going to say, it is literally the epitome of, like, what you would want to bring your kids to. It's like pirates and fun, and there's jokes that go over the kids' heads, but then there's...
But the adults will love it.
It's a Disney movie.
That's what
it is a live-action Disney movie written by some Victorian dudes.
Who could write good music.
Who could write... Like, it's super catchy. I'm on a personal note, I'm blessed to have a young nephew, Finn, adorable child. His very first opera experience, my sister and her family live in London. Finn's first experience was Pirates of Penzance at the Royal Opera House, similar to Charlottesville Opera, doing the full experience, kid-oriented production. And he just was obsessed, wearing the pirate hats for days afterwards. When he found out that I was singing Ruth in this opera, he went, "Oh my gosh, Aunt Amanda, you're going to be the pirate maid." Of course, he has a British accent because he lives in London. It's very charming. So,
are you going to sing in a British accent or talk in a British accent?
I do.
Oh.
We all do.
We all do.
Wow.
Another reason to come see the show. Even
Wow.
though
How
a
was
bunch
the
of
practice
non-Brits
on that?
trying
Did you
to
have
be
to watch
British.
binge watch PBS or something?
Well, I think the instruction was to binge watch Downton Abbey
Downton
to get
Abbey.
it in your brain. I had the interesting experience of trying 2 different accents for this character in the rehearsal process. So I actually started out in a Cockney.
Can you demonstrate for us?
Oh, God.
Yes.
No. I
Now
have,
we
to,
want
I, have
to
to,
put you on the
I, have
spot.
to, I have to open the show on Friday. I have to do it in RP. Hold on. Okay. No. Okay,
Wait,
ask Chelsea a question and come back to me.
Okay. we need to let her sit
What
in the
kind of
performance.
accent do you do?
Oh,
Like, you just go
I mean,
straight-
I'm the one of the daughters of the modern major general. It's very prim and proper and British. And yeah, it's funny. It's basically taking all the ah vowels and just making them that much more like O's, like over darkening everything. We have a couple R's where we might like flip them, like very instead of saying very. And my personal favorite is, the endings of words, just sort of dropping them. So instead of like opportunity, it's like opportunity. And Brian had told us he's like, just let your mouths hang every time. It's like, we miss the opportunity of escaping with impunity. And so it's 40 people just being like,
Is it harder
very
to
fun.
sing then if you're trying to sing in a different accent?
it is certainly like muscle memory and having to rewrite our habits that normally would not fly. And, we rehearse, we are professionals. We have put a lot of time and effort and money into learning how to, do what we do.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we wing. Live theater, there's always the idea of improv and, reacting to certain things that could happen in a live theater situation. But for the most part, like we train and we have a idea and a tract and we try to stick.
I was
stick
surprised
to
they
that.
didn't ask you to watch My Fair Lady. So it's
Oh,
like
we
you
did
do-
that. We
you
did
go
that as
from
well,
one to
yeah.
the other.
So, like, actually, for the Cockney, for me, I mean, Eliza Doolittle is absolutely a great model, right? So, my first line in the show is, "Nay, Frederick, long has my mind been gnawed by the cankering tooth of mystery. Better have it out at once," right? So, if I were to do it in the Cockney, it would be something like, "Nay, Frederick, long has my mind been gnawed by the cankering tooth of mystery. Better have it out at once." But if I do it in an RP, which is more what I'm getting in the show now, I get, "Nay, Frederick, long has my mind been gnawed by the cankering tooth of mystery. Better have it out at once."
Bravo.
Yeah, beautifully done.
Thank you.
We got a
Thank
sneak
you.
peek performance today.
Yeah, I love it. And we got to see both sides.
Yeah,
That was who made the final decision on that?
That's the director's call, and some collaboration, right? Of course, RP received pronunciation, which is what you think of as a traditional Downton Abbey British accent, is more traditional for Ruth, but the flavor of adding Cockney is often something that we used in theater to give somebody a little bit gruffer, rougher, working class vibe. Think Peaky Blinders or Mrs. Lovett in. And actually, like Ruth, we've been thinking about it, Ruth has a lot of Mrs. Lovett vibes from Sweeney Todd.
Oh, yeah.
This Ruth in this production. So I see that. The Cockney could have been really cool.
Yeah.
But the RP, I think, there's something stuffy about an RP. It's really nice.
Well, to be
You don't
fair,
have to
it
tell me
also-
about the
I was
stuffiness on
just-
it. I've always-
Stuffy for sure. But I think it's interesting because it creates a very bizarre opening contrast when you have Frederick and Ruth juxtaposed against the pirates, and like it opens right away with all of them like we're all friends, and you've got Ruth and Frederick have these like very prim and proper accents, and you're just how did that happen?
Two of these things are not like the other.
You're right, and
Right.
it creates that impression right off the bat. So, like, I can see where you're coming because I think that that would have been hilarious if Ruth was Cockney.
Yeah.
But I can see like it makes it kind of bizarre when you're hearing the story right off, and you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense for why these two are like do 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 do, and the pirates are all like ah.
Well, you and Chelsea were talking about how you hope to have like these kind of times when you could look back and say, oh, I've done this performance 50, 100 times. And maybe at some point you'll be able to done 100 times, like 50 times I did it
Oh my
with
gosh.
RP and 50 times I did it with the Cockney. and it's up to the
maybe
director's
so.
choice. You know, it's like, hey.
You know, the great thing I think also about like playing a role where I am in quite pretty significant age makeup because I'm 34 and I'm playing 47 in the Victorian era, which is essentially 1 foot in the grave at that point, right? So
Ouch.
it's very rare that a person as young as I am is singing Ruth. So I mean, I could. This is a role I could do truly to the end of my career, with given the right circumstances. So that's cool.
There's a tremendous energy that you bring to Ruth. So I wouldn't have thought that they would have given it always to somebody on the old show. But it makes a lot. I mean, it makes sense because of the age. But now that I've seen you do it, it's hard to imagine somebody older doing it who couldn't bring the physicality to it.
I really appreciate that you see that because I think the humor of that character is that she is an older woman who is very much trying to be younger.
Yeah.
That's her whole story. She doesn't want to believe that she's old yet, you know?
Yeah.
But our costumer and makeup artist were all saying, and our makeup team was saying that he has never had a Ruth younger than 50.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm quite young.
Wow.
Ooh.
You got another
Food
16
for thought.
years going.
At least. I mean,
know.
hopefully more. I'd like to.
Yeah.
I hope I don't kick it at 50.
Yeah, well, you said it's half 1 foot in the grave.
Well, that was in that time. Now it's, golden years.
Oh, not
50 and
now.
plus.
Forbid.
It's like my father must be
No,
dead.
but the life expectancy when this premiered was very much
very
that,
young, yeah.
right? So, I mean, Ruth talking about being 37 or 47 or whatever she believes herself to be, I mean, we're talking about
That's a
a
huge
much,
difference.
much older person in modern times, which is always an interesting thing to solve in theater. When is this show?
Yeah.
Right? So, when do you think our show is?
Oh, well, the fact that he mentioned 1940
Yeah.
for, I don't want to give away the plot, but like the
Yeah.
fact that he mentioned that made me think, oh, it's got to be early 1800s at the very, because it has. I mean, just I didn't try to do the math in my head. I'm like,
Leap year
1840's
math
gotta
is
be
hard.
Like, it's going to be a while.
well, especially since I was sitting there watching it, I wasn't like, wow, how much? So then when is this taking place? I was just like, got it, long time, move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, and not to mention pirates. So I'd assume that it had been something like the early 1800s. There was really no reason for me to believe otherwise because of the costumes. So
Yeah,
like,
exactly. The costumes transport you.
We're very Victorian with like some really cool like little modern moments, which I think is so fun because sometimes we can use anachronism in theater. Sometimes we can use something that belongs to another time in that transported space to create something that's more than just the timeline. And that's another thing I think that
like
a
the
layer.
birthday cake with the
Like
with
the birthday
candles.
cake,
Like the
that
I was
would
like,
not have been Victorian.
Probably not a thing that they would have done.
But I think
But
it's
it's a
also,
modern reference.
For a comedy like this too. It also just shows the audience that like we're in on it.
Yeah.
We're in on the joke. We're being cheeky here, and it's part of the fun, right?
Cheeky,
It's-
very like British posh words. Oh, you're
Well,
being
yeah, but
cheeky.
also like with the cake thing,
Cheeky
it's
wee
like
lad, yeah.
we know this is preposterous, but this Kyle said it in the best. This is a cartoon on stage. It's those. I'm dating myself a bit here, but it's those like Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam. It's the Roadrunner and Coyote and like those moments that you have in these cartoons where it's like, okay, the coyote's holding a stick of dynamite, he blows up, but he's still alive and he's still continuing on into the next episode. Like there are some really far-fetched things. Plot-wise, visually, dramatically that happen in this show that we all know are ridiculous, but that's what makes it fun. And if you can come here and escape to the theater for 2.5 hours and leave, real world problems at home for that time, like that's why we do what we do. It allows people to just transport themselves to another time, another world, another reality, and it's just
Pirates for a little while.
to be pirates, to be
for a
kids
little while.
again. Like
Oh gosh, I mean, like, and be what, like, I love. There's this awesome thing happening at the Met now in New York, where oftentimes for opening nights or like just really any performance, people are dressing in themes sometimes. Oh yeah. Like
in themes related to the performance.
themes related to
yeah.
the show. So I mean,
is that happening tomorrow night?
I mean, if you want to come in your
With, like,
pirate
an eye
costume,
patch.
You
I
know
would
what?
be so
You know,
excited.
get some
You've
cuts,
heard
so I
it
get a
here
little bloody,
first.
you know.
I mean, maybe
a little
not
shot in the arm.
blood. We might be a little
okay.
worried
I'll
about
shoot you in the arm if
that.
you want me to.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
There's
maybe
a tattoo
no
parlor
fake
around
blood.
the street.
But please dress up. Please dress up as pirates, guys. If you feel so inclined, it will just make it more fun for us to
Yeah.
to look out in the audience and see everyone dressed as pirates.
Just theater etiquette, though. Remember to remove your hat during the show.
yeah, maybe don't
okay.
bring the fake sword. Leave the fake sword at home.
No
I
weapons
was
in
thinking
the
real sword. No,
Paramount.
that's
No, the real
Oh,
sword you
okay.
should maybe leave. Unless you want
But
you know,
the
the pirate king to sign
authenticity,
it
though.
after.
Authenticity.
yeah, you know.
We have so many notes backstage about no weapons beyond this point.
Point.
Yeah.
Really seriously, guys, we mean it. No weapons beyond this
Yeah,
point.
make sure you put your fake pistols in the props box before you go down to the dressing room. We are not allowed to have pistols in the dressing room. I repeat, no pistols in the dressing room.
Just you're just in the dressing room. Well, that's my garment.
I know there's a
Duel.
whole-
Yeah.
We can't have duels in the dressing
No,
room.
no
That's not
duels.
allowed.
No, the space is tight. We gotta, you know.
I know we're in Jefferson's town, but we can't have any, steps at dawn.
Yeah,
It's
no
in the theater.
duels at dawn here.
Sorry, that was so bad.
You know, you both kind of answered, because I had one last question I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, kind of both answered, but I was going to say, what do you want people's biggest takeaway to be from seeing Pirates? You know, I know you kind of already answered it a little bit
We
before.
can do a summation.
Yeah.
Yeah? You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Couple bullet points. I don't know. I would just say, come on out, have fun, be a kid again, and expect the unexpected.
Sorry, I just got the little, real voice in my head doing,
La, la.
expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected.
I love that, actually, because anytime, any show I do, I want an audience to have a real, authentic, meaningful experience. That can be comedic, that can be dramatic, that can be something resonant, remembering something from your childhood, sharing a great memory from your childhood with a kid in your life, right? That kind of opportunity. But specifically to this show, I hope you come away with an earworm. I know you're going to come away with an earworm. This is like a self-fulfilling
With,
prophecy.
several earworms.
I hope that there's something stuck in your head because this show does something I think is really important, which is that it has those little catchy memory tunes that you come away with. And I hope that there's something that you see on stage that gets cued by that memory. And then when you hear that earworm again a year from now, you remember how the ship moved across the back of the set.
Oh yeah, keep your eyes open for that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, or just the feeling of being in that space. That's my big hope. And then also just, please come enjoy seeing this incredible cast, because I have been, as a professional, I have been so inspired by this cast and creative team. And if I feel that way, oh gosh, I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like to get to be just in the audience for it. I'm never going to get to see the show in its entirety, so I'm really jealous of the audience. So please enjoy on my behalf.
You want us to film or no?
You're not allowed.
I know.
Theater etiquette.
Theater etiquette.
No hats.
No swords, no films. What are we going to show up?
No, I
You
know
just
we
have
wear
to
a
sit
hat.
there
No, we
and
can wear
have
the
fun.
hat, but just we have to take it off when the performance starts.
Yes, you have to
alright?
take it off when the performance starts. You are allowed to laugh. You are allowed to clap. You are not allowed to have a conversation with the person next to you for the entire show.
That would be easy for me. I'm not going to talk.
I'm not talking to you.
I'm not
fooled
even
me.
sitting next to you. I got
That's
stuck in the
true.
back.
That's right. I forgot.
Enjoy the popcorn. Enjoy the special drink. The Paramount does this thing
Beer?
for all our shows. Well, they have
Pirate
you know,
beer, ale.
Pirate
They-
beer.
they've
I don't
got-
know what the
they've
special
got-
drink is.
I don't know what it's called, but they.
So, pirate punch.
Pirate.
I mean, I
Is that
hope
what
it's
it
a
is?
pirate
I
punch.
think that's what it said, right?
Well, you have to come and get a ticket and get some and find out on your
Yeah,
own.
please enjoy it for us, because you know we.
You can.
We-
What about
we-
after the show?
I mean, after the show, I'm sure we can arrange that. Get some pirate punch.
Tell the Paramount, leave a little pirate punch for the pirates at the end.
We've got to do 2 more shows after opening night.
Maybe at the cast party.
The Paramount. What a perfect space.
Yeah.
I love.
So lovely for the audience.
the old-fashioned theater feel. It's pretty special.
It's amazing.
It does make you feel like you take a blast back in time to like watching movies like
Especially
1920s,
for this
30s.
one, considering when it takes place and then you see all the decorations, you're like,
Yeah.
very Victorian.
It
It's perfect.
really works.
Yeah.
Like it really works.
It really enhances. You know, you've got the show itself, you've got this venue, you've got your pirate punch or your barrel of popcorn, and yeah, it's not just about the show. It is a fun afternoon or evening out. It's a whole experience. You know, dress up, it will be even more of an experience. But yeah, it's just this is how memories are created in performances like this.
So what are the 3 performances? I know tomorrow night at 7 is
Yeah.
the first one, and then you have Saturday at 2 and Sunday at 2.
Correct.
Okay, and the best place to get tickets?
Directly through the Paramount, through their
Okay.
box office. I think they do email, calling. I'm not sure of their hours off the top of my head, but
10
to 2.
I know that tomorrow night's show is selling very, very well. So if you want to go tomorrow night, get your tickets ASAP. And then
Yeah, I was so scared about the ticket that I actually bought one for somebody that's coming because I couldn't get in touch with the box office to release my
just
comp.
wanted to make sure that,
So
that you got it.
I wanted to make sure we had a ticket. So get your ticket
Selling
now.
Get your ticket.
quickly. It's
Yes,
doing
very
really well.
quickly.
So
It's doing extremely well. I think that the community, this is the first time Charlottesville Opera has done at Gilbert and Sullivan in their 48 years. And I think we and the company have been blown away by how excited the community is for it. I think that they're ready for this sort of show here in Charlottesville.
I bet.
So 7 p.m., 2 p.m.
On Saturday.
on Saturday,
And 2 p.m. on Sunday.
Sunday. Tickets at the Paramount. Get them quickly. There are a few left.
Yes.
Yeah. Make sure you get
feel
the-
free to
that's
dress up
true.
as a pirate if you wish.
Just no real swords.
No
No,
swords.
no
No
real swords.
swords.
Probably no fake ones.
Probably
Let's
not. I
Let's
feel
not.
like you have
yeah.
to check them at the
Just
door.
dress
No.
up like a
Just dress like
If you wear the eye patch, I will be very, very happy.
You can also come in jeans or a suit.
Yeah, but if they come with
I
2
have
eye
dress,
patches, you won't be very
2
happy.
eye patches?
No, you got to be
That
able to
one-
watch
that
the
one-
show.
They
Yeah.
won't be very happy.
You know?
It's not about me.
They'd be like, I love the music.
Well, that's authentic,
Yeah,
you know?
but it's a little
They're going to
dark.
be like, I was promised bright colors and costumes, and I'm just not getting
yes.
Those
that.
today, Mañana,
They never
guys
turned the
led us
lights on.
astray.
It was dark the whole time. But yes, so Amanda, Chelsea, thank you both so much for coming on.
Thank
it
you
was
for having
absolute
us.
Pleasure.
Our
Yeah.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
What do you say in the music industry when you watch them? Is it break a leg?
There are
or-
a couple different things.
Okay.
Break a leg works.
Break a leg works?
That's quite recognized. There's also the old Italian toy.
Toy, toy.
You can say that.
Toy. Which
Or the French mad. You can say that as
That's
well.
a big dancer one. My personal preference is in bocco al lupo,
Oh, that's a good one.
which is great. So it means in the mouth of the wolf. The audience is the wolf. You are the wolves.
ooh.
And the appropriate response is typically crepi crepi.
Creepy.
So in bocco al lupo.
Lupa, lupa.
I'm just a stick with break a leg. It's easy to remember.
You know
Or
what?
Toy. Yeah.
We love it.
Toy's pretty easy.
I was like, I don't really feel like a wolf, more like a beached whale. So
Well, in this heat, it's hard not to.
yeah, I was
right?
gonna be, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But do we have any viewers we want to give a special shout out to?
Just Lucrecia Morales was watching,
Thank you
Rosalia
so
de
much,
Rosalia
Lucrecia.
Cordaro,
Oh.
and I actually
Thank you,
lost
Rosalia.
the last one. But thank you so much all for watching.
Yes,
We
thank
love
all our other viewers,
Bill
and they were
McChesney.
streaming on like 5 different channels. So
Yeah, 5 different-
thank
yeah,
you to all our viewers for watching. Big thank you, as always, to our sponsors: Emergent Financial Services, Charlottesville Opera, Matthias Realty, Faba. Big thank you to Judah for being behind the camera, making us look good. The I Love CVille studio. Big thank you for Nick for being my co-host today. It was good to be back on the
Good
same
to be
team.
back, especially for the opera.
Yeah, I know. That's what
my
Gals
favorite.
always gets him on the seat. It's like,
Yeah.
other
Gotta do
guests
it,
is like,
yeah.
it's like opera's like, oh, I'll be there.
I schedule
You know?
myself in when I book a.
Yeah. And next week we're gonna have Matthias from Matthias Realty, our good friend Matthias. It's always great having him on. It's always good to catch up. It's been a while, so
It's been a while, and he
you
said
know.
that he's gonna try to make it a good one. So we'll see.
Ooh,
Yeah.
oh, good.
And they're always good, but obviously he's
Yes.
trying to
Special
try to
surprise,
stay. He's
maybe.
gonna,
Okay,
hopefully
so you
it's a
gotta stay
surprise.
tuned,
Yeah.
you know. But always thank you to our viewers for watching and making this show possible. We look forward to seeing you next time. But until then, hasta mañana.